Hello and welcome back to another video. In this video, I wanted to talk about the stories that we tell to ourselves as children. Now, it's important to understand what happens to us when we are children because the experience of a child is a wonderful experience. Um, it's the most magical experience that one can have, and we have all gone through that experience, grown up into uh, into something that is very closely related to the stories that we used to tell when we were children. The imaginations that we used to have, the movies that used to play in our imagination, the characters that we used to build and live through imagination. These characters actually are what later on in our lives embody us as adults. Now, maybe the character used to hurt himself. Maybe the character used to fight a huge army of 100 people. Maybe he used to lead. He used to stand in front of thousands of audience and speak in a mic. And one day you will understand that you actually embodied that character that you once have imagined. So let us now understand how the experience of a child is very miraculous. Now, it is said in many cultures it is said in many spiritual traditions that a child is nearer to God. And when a child dies, we say that the child goes to the heaven and becomes an angel. We say this for a reason because children are having an experience that is completely freeing. A child is a happening. There is no sense of ego implanted in the child. Only when he grows up, maybe after 10 or to 11 years of growth, the child understands that his actions are actually making a dent in this world. And that is when the ego starts to develop. Before that, a child is happening. Everything that he imagines, all the things that he plays, is a creative force acting on nature. If you look at the patterns of children and if you go deep into child psychology, you understand that the most of the values of the child develop in his early 5 to 6 years. Now, in these 5 to 6 years, 70% of the values are already intended upon the child, and eventually it is just an unfolding of whatever has been programmed in those 5 or 6 years. It is also important to understand where this imagination of a child comes from, and we won't go into the details of that, but let us look at the topic of this video, that is the stories that we tell to ourselves when we were children. Now, when we were children, we imagined characters. We played with these characters when we were alone. Some of us might really strongly relate to this because we had a lonesome childhood, and in this childhood we developed characters, and these characters were responsible for something, and they would even we would create stories across these characters, and these characters would be uh, somehow limited also, and they would also be uh, superheroes. Uh, they would fly here, there, and they would fly on mountains. They would go places and fight enemies, and in that fight they would probably get hurt also. And it is weird how we I was talking about victimization in my earlier videos, and how victimization actually develops from this method of imaginative thinking that we used to do when we were children. So when we were children, we used to also imagine. Some of us might have uh, experienced this, and I have talked to a few people, and they relate to this strongly, that their characters used to somehow get hurt, and in that hurt, they used to be, uh, they used to feel a certain thing, and then they would rise up again, and they would fight the enemy again. So this story arc, this archetype of a, of a hero getting hurt and then rising up, is strongly embedded in our minds. And in these 5 to 6 years, whatever we have imagined and whatever we have gathered, experienced, and whatever our conception of the world is, the adult life just is just built upon these ideas of the world. Of course, you can reprogram yourself completely, and you can do this by going inside your subconscious mind, which can be done through uh, meditation and through self-reflecting, uh, which is uh, which is uh, prescribed by many spiritual traditions here. Uh, a lot of us know that self-reflecting is a very important thing that we should be doing, and self-reflection helps you go inside your patterns, go inside those patterns that are stuck, that are making you limited in some ways. Maybe you're not speaking the truth all the time, or maybe you're speaking in a way that pleases others. So these are all patterns uh, that can be looked upon by self-reflection. And of course, meditation is important, but self-reflection is even more important as you grow up, because only when you are self-reflecting you are able to interact with your subconscious mind. Now, the stories that we have told ourselves when we were children are very deeply enrooted in our subconscious mind. Now, let us understand how the mind actually works, and I will give you a brief summary of the mind here, and the rest you can fill the blanks by yourselves. And it is important that you do it yourself. You can take a pen and a paper and write down what you think is the mind, and you will get a glimpse of your mind, and you will be able to move into this subconscious space where you are seeing your patterns and you are consciously interacting with the patterns and changing them accordingly. Um, Now, I'll give you a brief uh, based on a lot of psychologists, and especially on Carl Jung and Freud's research about the subconscious and the unconscious minds. So, so first, let us understand that there is something called the conscious mind. Now, the conscious mind is something that is here right now, that is doing the thinking, that is doing the talking, and you are also interacting with the world through the conscious mind. And the conscious mind is whatever you are able to see, whatever the the scene, the thought, the feeling, the emotion, and the experience of your inward self, just behind your eyes, just behind your uh, mouth, or just behind your throat. Now, this is the conscious mind, and in this conscious mind, there are the thoughts, there is the personalities, actions. The thoughts also lead towards actions, and so on and so forth. So everything that you are conscious of in this experience right now is what the psychologists call the conscious mind. And of course, I in my previous videos I talk about consciousness also, and there's a difference between consciousness and conscious mind. But let us first look at what conscious mind is. Now, the conscious mind is something that you are interacting with right now, and when you are writing or when you are doing uh, intense thinking or self-reflection, you are bringing up some things from the subconscious mind. So the easiest way to interact with the subconscious mind is to write or to do some kind of an artistic work that is making your mind think and bringing some things from from the unconscious. So the unconscious is something that you are experiencing, but you are not experiencing consciously. So, for example, I'm right now in this experience. I'm looking at the camera and I'm talking to you, but there is also a lot of things in the room here that I'm not putting my conscious attention on. For example, the sound of the fan, the children playing outside, or the door that is the clothes on my uh, cloth hanger, and so on and so forth. I'm not They are there in my experience, but and these are being stored in my unconscious mind. But I'm not putting my conscious effort on it. What I'm putting my conscious effort on are my thoughts and the way that I'm talking. And so this is what I'm putting my effort on. But a lot of things in our experience have been taken into the unconscious mind where everything is stored. Now, we might remember a lot of movies that we have watched. We might have watched maybe 100 movies by now, even more than that. Uh, and we might not remember them because the mind takes them uh, in a very it filters them in a manner that it puts it into the unconscious mind. It does not put it in the subconscious or the unconscious. But somehow some children might have a defect. They might have a disorder where you are not able to distinguish between a movie and reality. That is another that is a disorder, and we'll talk about that in later videos. But here, so a lot of movies we might have experienced them, but we won't remember them. They are in our unconscious mind. And then there is the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the interlink between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. So everything that is stored in the unconscious mind is taken up by the subconscious mind and is provided to the conscious mind. It is similar to uh, how our memories in our phones work or in our laptops work or in any computer system works. So but it's much more advanced than that. So the subconscious mind is the interlink between unconscious mind and the conscious mind. So when we are writing or when we are doing a creative work, we are taking things from the unconscious. So we might not remember the movies that we have watched, but when we are trying to come up with ideas for movies, we are going back into this unconscious and we are taking things that had made sense to us that were relevant at that point and we are bringing them into the conscious mind. So any creative act can help you tap into the unconscious mind. So, for example, writing a story can help you understand what kinds of stories you like, what kind of movies you like. But it can only be done perfectly when you yourself write a story. And through any creative work, you can tap into your unconscious and see what kind of things had made sense to you when you were doing that thing. And there is infinite amount of things in your unconscious mind. And we can also talk about how the unconscious mind is collective, how we all share the same unconscious mind. But it's important to understand the cycle that happens here. That is, the person takes something from the unconscious, brings to the conscious mind, and gives it out and produces it in the world through his conscious mind. And there are people who consume this thing consciously, and put it in their unconscious, and then eventually they also, if they become creators, they also at some point create, bring up those unconscious things again into the subconscious mind, then bring that to the conscious, and hence the cycle keeps on repeating and repeating. And hence you can find a lot of these metaphorical stories that have been in our Bible, in our religious context we have made, and we tell these stories to our children also. These stories are very important because these come from the collective unconscious. Now, so the subconscious mind's ability is to, you can understand how the subconscious works, or you can be able to interact with the subconscious by two methods. First is with first is understanding that you can access your unconscious mind through creative work like writing or painting or any other thing. Even thinking or even talking can is actually uh, bringing up things from the unconscious mind. Now, subconscious mind regulates these things in the unconscious mind by patterning them. This is how you interact with the habits of your day-to-day life. If you want to change the habits of your day-to-day life, it is important that you understand the subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind is where the patterning actually happens. And now, subconscious mind can be accessed when you are in meditation, when you are writing, when you are in prayer. This is how prayers are usually. It seems as if prayers have been accepted, or they have been manifested, or somehow the prayers have been answered. But it's actually when you are consciously giving your subconscious mind a signal that you want a certain thing in the world, then the subconscious mind eventually, even in deep prayer, when you are in an emotional state, subconscious mind is highly uh, malleable, and it can be molded in certain ways. Now, when you are aware of the subconscious mind, you can change the patterns accordingly. You can break habits, you can make habits, and you can do all kinds of stuff with your subconscious mind to attain your goals in your life. So, in order to first to develop a self-transformative method or practice, you have to understand the subconscious mind. It is very crucial to do that. And the stories that we tell ourselves as children are stored in our unconscious mind, and these stories are coming up in our subconscious mind as our personality. There are so many things you can read about. So that's it for this video. I hope I gave some insight into the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, and the best way to do is to fill in the blanks, to fill in whatever thought is that I have generated inside you, and you look into your own mind, fill in how these different things work together. Thank you for watching this video.